Welcome to the practice that we're starting in a cross-legged position. The position that might be not very comfortable for a lot of us, especially to sit on the solid surface. So as we are working on the centering and arriving mindfully to the mat, to the practice, maybe scan how you feel in the hip, lower back area in this position, and we'll compare that in the end of the practice after some hip mobility, hip stabilization practice that we will be having today, together with the ankle stabilization that is so important for helping us to maintain a balance in standing and walking walking the stairs. So when you're ready, I'm inviting you to open your eyes and let us just release the legs, extend the legs, and here go into the ankle circles. Welcome, Heather. We are starting on the floor, and we will be using the folded blanket or towel as in uneven surface. So when you're ready, you can just join us here. So we are warming up the ankles, and as you moving your ankles, notice how when you're moving, let's go together, toes one direction. Notice how movements of the ankle connected to the movements of the hips. So you might find that through the knee, the shin bone that attached to the thigh bone will rotate the thigh bone as well. So going in a circular movement one direction and then change in direction. Notice how some movements happening here. Very mild movement, but still movement. And let's flex the feet, and while you flex the feet, maybe notice how your heels comes off the floor, knees are locked here, and then just point the toe, allowing a bit of a stretch, feeling on the top of the shins. Let's do it again. Flex the feet, feel some hamstring stretch, and then point the toe as much as you can, and feel it in your ankles. One more time, flex the feet, and then let's point the toe, getting some stretching, and let us then bend the knees, and you can now flex your feet, and we're going to do just one leg at a time. So bringing the one knee, doesn't matter which one you start, into internal rotation. Maintain a 90-90 position, so the foot is flexed and you're trying to go with the knee to the floor if that's possible, and then open it back into the wide knee position and then drop the other knee. When you drop in the knee, you might notice how your hip comes off the floor. That's fine. More important is to maintain the straight spine here. And let's open. So internal rotation is something that feels a little bit restricted. Notice where you feel that, and then open and drop. We're gonna do more intense work for the hips later. This is just to warm up. So one more time, bring the right knee in, and then release, and then bring the left knee in, and then release, and here we'll cross the ankles and roll into the tabletop position. So when we're talking the hips, we also definitely have to warm up the lower back, because it's all connected, all related. So let's go to the cat and dog stretch with emphasize in the pelvis movement. So working with some release, maybe of a tension that may be accumulated in the area of the lumbar spine here. And of course, this movement will help you to set connection between the breath and the movement that we'll need for the bigger, more complex vinyasas. So let us have one more here. And then come to neutral. So let us keep the hips high and set your knees a little bit wider. And now you're not moving your hips back, but you are maintaining hips as much as possible aligned with the knees, but you're walking your hands forward, and then you start dropping the chest down. So you should feel the back bend in the spine here. Your hips will stay quite high from the floor. This movement is helping you to work a little bit on the shoulder opening here as well. If you're finding that this is too low for your head to go down to the floor, welcome to use the block under the forehead. So think of collapsing with the chest down, and this is still pretty gentle back bend here. And set your tailbone up, a little bit of the extension of the lower back, and then lift the torso up. Walk your hands closer this time and drop your hips down. So now the tailbone goes toward the heels. This time you round in your lower back and come again into child pose here. So this time is like a contour pose for our extension that we practiced earlier. Taking another exhale, and then let's return back into the tabletop position. So in this tabletop position, we'll extend the right leg and we'll lift the left arm. So when you're ready, lift your right leg off the floor. Take inhale, stretching. On an exhale, bring the knee and elbow together. Engage the abdomen here. And then again, inhale, stretch. And exhale, bring the knee and elbow together. One more time, inhale, stretch. And exhale, pull everything in, engaging of the lower abdomen muscles, and release. Let's go with the other side. Extend your left leg. When you're ready, take your right arm parallel to the floor. Maintain the balance. Then lift the left foot off the floor. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, bring the knee and elbow together. Inhale, stretch. And then bring elbow and knee together. One more time. Stretch. And bring it all together. Engaging the pull in the belly in. And then release. So from here, stepping the hands forward, tucking the toes, and coming to the first downward dog. So in this downward dog, allow yourself to pedal your heels. So you feel some stretch in the calf, in the hamstrings. And then when you're ready, just come into the stable downward dog, making sure that your lower back now in neutral position. Shaking the head and taking another exhale here, and then let's drop the knees down to the floor. Stepping the right foot forward, and if you like, you can use the blocks here for support. Reset the back knee to feel comfortable, and now from here you would adjust the front heel to position that you allow yourself to move the right knee forward as much as possible and compressing the right ankle. So you come in here to the maximum of compression that comes from ankle and knee. So it could be a limitation in ankle and could be limitation in the knee. So if your knee allows you to compress it, go ahead, compress. And then just play with the position where you feel like if you're going to try to go forward with the knee, your heel comes off the floor. and then you need to adjust. So a lot of compression here, a lot of a stretch for the Achilles tendon here, and hold here another breath. Of course, you feel some stretch in the left hip flexor, and then using the blocks, let's move the hips back, reset the front foot into the flex position. This time it's a hamstring stretch, and pull the right hip in and fold forward, but don't drop your head too low. So I don't want you to round your back, but more is coming with the chest forward. So pulling the hip back, reaching forward, feeling stretch in the hamstring. Taking another breath, and then we'll change that with left. So stepping the left foot forward and then adjusting the position of the foot to be able to progress forward with the knee and keep the heel down. So a bit of a compression of the ankle, but also huge stretch for the cuff. If you feel that knee is a limit, that could be also the case when your knee is not allowing you to compress more, then you're stopping where knee feels good. Otherwise, you're trying to compress your ankle, hold here. Also play with the back knee distance, so you feel stretch in the right side, in the right hip. So let's hold here. That's a bit of a passive stretch, but should feel intense. And then let's move the hips back, flex the left foot, and trying to keep the knee straight, pull the hip back, toes back, leaning forward with the chest, trying to keep straight spine. Taking another exhale, and let's release, and this time we'll come to the downward dog, and after this intense stretch of the calves and hamstrings, just maybe already noticing some release of the back of the legs to feel more comfortable. Very often the tightness of the legs actually pulling the tailbone and not allowing us to enjoy the downward dog. Taking another exhale, and then let us walk hands toward the toes. So you're finding yourself more toward the back of the mat, and then bend your knees, lifting your heels. So come into the tippy toe squat and try to lift your heels as high as possible. You can have your hands on the floor, or if this is a little bit uncomfortable, you can also hold the blocks here, but try to lift the heels high and then lift the torso up. So lift the heels high. So really try to flex your toes and feel some stretch on the soles of the feet. Taking another exhale, and then let's drop the heels. If you use the block, release them, come all the way up, and you make sure that you're on the back of your mat, so you have quite distance to walk, as we're going to walk on the tippy toes. So when you're ready, come to the tippy toes, and try to lock your ankles. So try not to let them to be too flippy, and that can come from the glutes and legs muscles. So have a strong legs, and let's walk to the front of the mat on the tippy toes. Hold here on the tippy toes, and then drop. Then come to the outer edge of the feet and walk back on the outer edges of the feet. And then let us come to the tippy toes again, pressing the big toe to the floor, stabilizing ankles. Use your glutes here to stabilize the hips. Walk to the front of the mat. Hold, and then drop. Let's step the feet a little bit wider and bring your knees together to be on the inner edges of the feet, and walk back on the inner edges of the feet. So feel some inner thigh work here. And then when you come, We're gonna come one more time to the tippy toes. Stabilize yourself here. Use the core strength to hold yourself up. And walk to the front of the mat again. And release. And this time we're gonna walk on the heels. Walk on the heels back. Walk on the heels back. And when you are at reach the back of the mat, shake your legs. And here on the back of the mat, we're going to start with a couple of sun salutation to warm up a little bit. So come into the mountain pose. Bring in your breath into comfortable pace. With inhale, lift the arms up. Hinge from the hips. Exhale. Let's hang here for the moment. Maybe rocking from the toes to the heels to finding how we're distributing the weight equally. And then look forward and walk your hands to the front of the mat. Hold your plank for the breath and then drop the knees and come all the way down. Exhale. Set your hands on the sides of the rib cage. Roll the shoulders back. Point the toes and just lift the chest off the floor. Mostly focusing on the engaging of the glutes. And then press the floor. And through the cat stretch, tag the toes. Exhale into the downward dog. Taking the breath. And then step your feet closer to the midline. And then step your right foot forward just halfway. So it's halfway only. And lift the torso up. Keep your front knee bent. And now start lifting the back heel. And bend your left knee into this 90 lunge. Maintaining neutral spine. And this time taking your arms into cactus pose. Pressing elbows back. Feeling some stretch in the front of the chest. Using the glute here to hold. And then on exhale, bring the hands. They will come in front of your big toe. And step into downward dog. Exhale. Long spine. And next inhale, flow into the plank. Hold the plank for breath and drop the knees. Exhale, come down. Again, hands on the sides of the rib cage. Lift the chest up. It could be just a baby cobra. And then press yourself up. Tug the toes. Exhale, come into the downward dog. Hold the downward dog for the breath. Then again, bring your feet closer to the midline. And step your left foot like halfway to your hands. Lift the torso up, the front knee bent. Now start tucking the tailbone under, bending the right knee, coming down, maintaining the balance. Arms in front, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands again in front of your left big toe and step into downward dog. Exhale, long spine. On next inhale, walk your hands to your feet, hand here for the breath. Then bring the hands on the shins and lift the chest up. So coming into the chair pose, torso position, chair pose, legs position, and then so bring the body weight to your toes, lift your heels, and lift them as high as you can. Now balance here, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then bring the heels down. Exhale, folding. Hand in here, just relaxing, catching the breath. And then one vertebra at a time. Come all the way up in standing. Exhale. Taking the breath. Let's go to next one. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, folding forward all the way down. Look forward and walk into the plank. And then from this plank, let's step the right foot outside of the right palm and drop the left knee down to the floor. So just have a very wide position here and see if you're able to turn the right knee out as much as possible. So the right knee out here. Just a little bit of an inner thigh stretch. My back knee is too close because I just need support for my knee. So I want you to work a little bit on the inner thigh stretch. Okay, so from here, we'll tuck the back toe, lift the left knee off the floor and step the right foot back into plank. And then stepping the left foot forward, dropping the right knee down, and then opening the left knee out, some inner thigh stretch. Make sure that the right foot is locked in the flexed position to support the knee. So just feel it here. And then tuck the right toes and lift the knees, step back into plank, and then come into the downward dog. You're going to adjust the distance between hands and the feet if needed. Exhale. On next exhale, drop the knees down to the floor so you're in a tabletop position, and then step your right foot forward and lift the torso up. So make sure that you're not extended in the lower back. Engage your glutes here. Take your arms wide and let's twist to the right and let's pulse here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Return back to the center. Bring the hands on the floor, tuck the left toes and step into downward dog. Exhale. Use this downward dog as a contour pose for the twist. Allow the spine to get traction. Allow everything to reset. And then drop the knees down to the floor. Stepping the left foot forward. Lifting the torso up. Maintaining neutral position. Taking arms parallel. Twisting to the left. And going here. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Returning back to the center, bring hands down to the floor, tuck the toes. Exhale, come into the downward dog. Long spine again. Taking the breath and then walk your hands to your feet. Hang here for the breath and then start coming into the half fold into the hinge position and then lift the torso to your chair pose. We're going to practice the same chair pose. So body weight come into your toes, lift your heels, maintain the balance from the core strength. Hold 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the hands, release the heels. Just hold forward. Exhale. And let's slowly come up into the standing position. Exhale, taking the breath, and one more flow, more traditional one. So when you're ready, inhale, lift your arms up. Hinging from the hips, exhale, folding forward, releasing the head. Looking forward, walking into the plank. And then stepping the right foot forward, so it's a nice, long, wide lunge. Here, using the back leg for support, lift the torso up. So if you're finding that you maybe can slide your back foot away, so to be as wide as possible, that's great. And then take your arms into cactus pose, pressing the forearms back, feeling some shoulder stretch, some chest stretch. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the floor and step into plank. Drop the knees. Follow the gravity to come down to the floor. Hands on the sides of the rib cage. Shoulders back, pointed toes. Inhale. And then tuck your toes. Exhale into the downward dog. Long spine. When you're ready, step your left foot forward. And again, try to get into your widest lunge. Feeling some work, some stretch in the hip area. Lift the torso up. Again, we're going to come into the cactus pose, arms to involve the shoulders a little bit here. Try to keep your wrists straight, so don't flex your palms. And press the elbows backward. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the floor and step into downward dog. Exhale. Next inhale, look to your toes and walk your hands to your toes, hand here. One more time, we're gonna come into the hip hinge and then into the chair pose for the torso. Bring the body weight to your toes, lift your heels, lift your arms, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the hands, release the heels. Again, fold forward to catch your breath. And here's as slow as possible. Let's come up into the standing position. Exhale. Great. So let us have our prepared folded towel or blanket and one block. So let's have block first on the floor. We're not going to be using this right away. And first we'll just step on the blanket. And I want you to spread your toes and focus on pressing the big toe to the blanket. Stabilize your foot. And then let us just lift the left leg. Let's lift the knee high and balance here. So your arms could be relaxed on the hips. Try to lift the knee as high as possible. So while we're working on the ankle, right ankle stability, right hip stability, the right glute is working, lifting the knee high, we're working on the left hip flexor, so deep core muscles. And let's release. Shake your legs and then bring the left foot down. Spread your toes, press the big toe, and when you're ready, lift the right knee off the floor. So work on the stabilization of the left hip, left ankle while working on the hip strength on the right side. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release. So shake your legs and let us again step with the right foot. And this time I would invite you to move your left leg in any movement. So trying to be stable on the right side. So before you start moving your leg, stabilize your hip, press the big toe, and just go. You can use your arms to get your balance and try to go different directions with a knee in and out, back and front with the different angles. So just moving here. If you feel very stable, you can start moving your arms as well. So we're gonna have here a little bit more till you really feel burden in your right hip and your right ankle. So go in here for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, let's come off the blanket. You definitely feel burning, and I hope you feel it in your hip as well. So that's how hip stability is important for our balance. So that's why we're working on the glute and the deep core muscles, because it's all connected to the hip stability. So when your right leg is relaxed and you hopefully caught your breath, let's step your left foot on the blanket. And here we're going to challenge ourselves again. So I might be falling because my left ankle is still not the most strong joint. So start with the knee movements, and then on some time you can add the arms as well. And keep focusing on stabilization of your hip. That's going to help you to stabilize your ankle. Make sure you're not locking your left knee. Your left knee is a bit of a soft position. And let's go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and come off. Very good. So next one, most of you should remember from our regular classes. I'm going to be demonstrating now. So we're going to be standing on one foot and we're going to challenge ourselves to be on the soft surface, and we will be placing the block. So first the block comes to the center and we're coming up without touching. Then we're going to reach to the block and pick it up. Then we're going to put the block as far to the right as possible, and we're going to come back. Having pause here, picking up the block, coming up, and going to the opposite. So here is the most challenging, to get it to the other side and come balance, and the most challenging is to pick it up here and come back, and when you're here, then you can rest, okay? So go on your own for this exercise. So start with the right leg. Focus on, again, focus on stabilization of the hip. Focus on keeping softness in the knee, and feel how the center of this movement, center of this posture is actually your core. So you're trying to settle your center above the heel, and then you can move. Okay, so yeah, go in center, right, and then left. And every time after you put or pick, you come into standing, and then you're picking up, and again. So we were doing that without this towel. Today we challenge with the towel. If you're done with one side, let's go to the other side. So I step in the other foot on the towel, and let's go to the front and come up, and then pick it up and come up, going slightly to the outer edge of the mat, and pick up, and then going into the inner edge and pick up, and if we're done, just take the towel away for now and take the block away for now, and come into the standing hip distance position. Close your eyes and just to scan the body, mostly lower body. Feel your ankles, feel your hips. And we're going to come into the wrong squats. So what does it mean? We're going to come to the outer edges of the feet, and we're going to go to 10 squats here. So you feel how you in a wrong position for the knees, but that's a control position. You might feel that you force fold forward a little bit more than in a usual squat. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Reset. So step a little bit from feet from one to another. Relax your feet. This time you're stepping with your feet probably wider than hip distance. Come into the inner edge, and you would like to keep your knees hip distance. So don't touch the knees. Keep them in control here. So inner thighs are working. We're going to have another 10 here. So that's a little bit easier to squat, while it might be harder to hold your knees. So your knees comes a little bit forward, but you control in that. And that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Excellent. So shake your legs again, and this time coming to the sumo squat leg. So it means it's a wide position. Turn your toes out and just bounce here a couple of times. Just feel how your hips are feeling, and then just stop until the lowest position and lift your right heel off the floor. But maintain your torso straight. Drop the heel, lift your left. Drop the heel. Now lift your right foot, and now try to bring your right knee in like internal rotation, and then come into external rotation and drop the heel. Try not to compensate with the shoulders. Lift your left heel, move your knee into internal rotation. So hips are stay facing front. Open and come down. Okay, rest here. So if you're finding that your toes maybe not very slippery on your mat, you can have it on the floor. So have a little bit more movement. So come into the sumo squat, maintaining shoulders, hips alignment. Lift your right heel, move the knee in, open the knee back, drop the heel. Lift to the left heel, turn the hip in, open the hip out, drop the heel and come up. So I would like you to have your heels wider. So when you come into squat, your knees and heels should be aligned. So the shins should be perpendicular to the floor. We have one more set. So come into squat and lift your right heel. Rotate the hip in, or rotate the hip out, all the way out, and then drop the heel. Lift to the heel, rotate the heel, knee in, rotate the knee out, drop, sit low, open your arms, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come up. Let's turn the toes in, adjust if you need into more comfortable position, and just fold forward, exhale here. And then lift the chest, take your heels back, closer. So this time they will be closer than in sumo squat, and you would like to drop your hips in and bring your elbows inside the knees, press elbows here and keep chest opening. Hold. Long spine. And then let's just come down to the floor and sit it. We're going to practice the 90-90 movement as the next one. So you are on the very back of the mat, and get yourself into 90 position. So heels are wider than the edges of the mat. And then you can drop it to the left. I'm starting with the left side. So my left knee is in front, my right knee is behind, but I have this 90 alignment. So both feet are flexed, both knees are 90 degree, and I'm keeping my torso straight. So start opening the right knee up and come to the center, and then go to the other side. your hip comes off the floor, you might need to adjust your heels to maintain 90 position. And then start lifting the left knee, coming up, sitting tall here, and then going out this direction, dropping the knee. Okay, and then again, coming tall spine, and then coming other side. And then lifting the knee, sitting tall, and going to the other side. We're gonna do 2 more times to each side. Opening here, and go to the either side you're working. Both knees should reach the floor, and you're keeping your torso tall. And then opening the knee, and then going other side. Opening the knee, going other side. Okay, so when we're finished here, we'll still gonna keep this a 90-90 position. And let us have the right leg in internal rotation. So left knee is in front here. You might use your both hands to get a little bit of a support. Maybe even, not maybe, you probably will need to lean forward a little bit to lift your right shin off the floor. But try to keep torso tall. So a lot of a work for the hip, yes? Yeah, do we lifting the knee off the floor? And then drop it down. Let's rotate to the other side. Okay, and you still in 90-90, so you might lean forward a little bit and then lift the knee off the floor, hold, foot flexed. If you can do it without hands, it's fine. And drop, let's do it again. Come to the right, so it should be 90-90. Tall spine, maybe leaning forward a little bit, lift, hold. Dropping the knee, coming to the other side. Again, maybe leaning forward a little bit, lifting the knee. And then dropping down, and let us just release the legs and rest. So that was all active mobility exercises. And we'll continue now with the pigeon pose, that working more on the stretching the tissues around the hip. So I would invite you to still have your blocks, but because we might use them, or even bolster, you're welcome to have a bolster if you have one. You're taking the right knee forward, and let's start with a drop in the right hip down to the floor to adjust the front shin. You want to keep your front shin as parallel to the edge of the mat as possible. And then you would lift yourself. You might move forward, and you start adjusting the back leg to stay straight. So the right hip probably will be off the floor, and I'm advising you to have a block to support the right hip. And then the second block will be the support for the chest or forehead. So as you will progress forward, probably it's nice to have a forehead on the block. And I would invite you to check if you you have a symmetry here in this pose. So your crown of the head, your spine, and your back foot should be all aligned with the midline. So shoulders are relaxed, and that comes from elevating this right hip. So you're adjusting the hip and support for this right hip to maintain everything aligned. So I don't want you to any compensation in your shoulders. And here we will hold that in a couple of minutes. torso up. Hold here for the breath. And then you would remove the block under the right hip, drop the right hip down, and carefully release the front knee, front ankle. Just shake it here. So that was compressed for sure. So you would like to relax, maybe some couple of flexion in the knee, and then when you're ready, we'll start building the other side. So you first come seating on the left hip and aligning the left shin to be as much as possible to parallel, to at least to start with. Then you can adjust. Then you will lift, so tucking the back toe and lifting the hips and adjusting the way that your shoulders, hips are aligned to the front of the mat. Your front knee should be comfortable. It's not exercise for the front knee, it's exercise for the hip. And then you fold forward. Again, trying to keep in mind the alignment with the mid line of the mat, and we'll hold that for another 2 minutes. You're ready, just lift your torso up and maybe dropping, taking the block away, dropping the left hip. Again, releasing the legs in front, shaking them a little bit. And from here, when you're ready, you will take your legs wide, maybe using 1 or 2 blocks. So externally rotate your thighs, take your toes out, and here we will be creating the pyramid with the blocks to fold forward passively and relaxing shoulders and just moving with the torso forward, creating nice stretch for all the area of the sacrum here, as well as you can work on your hamstring stretch here. But make sure that you're in a soft, in a very relaxed position for the upper back. Don't force yourself. So some inner thigh stretch could be noticed here as well. We'll have here another 10 breaths. Then let us lift the chest. Let us bend the left knee and place the block under the hips for the elevation, elevated twist here. So interlace the hands on the top of the right knee, maintain straight spine position. And when you're ready, using the right arm for support, twist yourself to the right, keeping chest open. Fold back, holding the torso straight, and then we will bring the right ankle, shin, knee on the floor, reset your hips, bend the left knee, interlace the hands at the top of the left knee, sit tall, and with the left arm support, you would twist to the left, keeping chest open. And next exhale, release the position, and we're coming on the back. Maybe taking knees to the chest to start with, rocking from side to side, then taking the arms overhead, a bit of the spinal traction here. Notice how with the arms overhead, you're forcing the spine to be released here. And then let's bring the left foot down to the floor. Take the right leg up and flex it. So you might interlace the hands if it's available for you to interlace the hands behind the right thigh. But what is important here is to maintain neutral spine. So you're not lifting the tailbone off the floor. You're not going to the posterior tilt. So if you have a very, very tight hamstring, you might be here. You might have a strap. If it's close to you, you can bring the strap around your right foot. But you also can practice this hamstring stretch in an active phase. That means that you're just keeping knees straight and flexing the foot and just trying to work with keeping the knees straight, maintaining neutral spine and keeping the foot flexed. And it doesn't matter how close the leg is toward your torso, you're still actively working on the hamstring stretch. And this active stretch actually more effective than the passive when you're just pulling the leg toward the face. So let's have here a couple of more exhales, just finding this neutral spine position, maintaining straight knee, feeling how you're sending the heel up toward the ceiling, and then release, and we'll do the same with the left. So start with a neutral pelvis, then bring the front knee straight, then flex the foot. And as you send in on inhale, you heel away toward the ceiling, you're flexing the foot and pulling the toe toward the face, but controlling the neutrality of your spine. So it doesn't need to be a lot of effort in arms, the work happening in the leg itself. And then let's release. For the last one, let's go to the happy baby. You're going to start with the holding feet together, or ankles, or even just knees. Again, maintaining neutral spine. And if you like, you can take your heels up. You can hold the big toes. But again, most important here is your neutral spine position. So maintain the neutral spine position here. And relax your shoulders. So if you have a very tight lower back, if you have a very tight hamstring, it's much better just to be here with not hold it behind the knees, but maintain straight spine. So you are able to work on the whole area of the sacrum. And let's release the heels down to the floor. Let's get arms in T position. You're welcome to have your feet wider than the mat and drop them to either side. I'm starting with my right side, turning the head to the left, and just feel a little bit of a release, very, very passive, very, very gentle stretch on the left side of the body, including a little bit of the left hip side. And then lift the knees up, reset your hips, drop the knees to the other side, turn the head to the right. Make sure shoulders are grounded. And then release back. We will lift the legs up, lift the arms up and just shake them. And as you shake, just feel your joints of the lower limbs. Feel how the bones are touched together from ankles to knees to hips, and how the muscular system of the lower limbs is just holding all together, but we also activating the lymphatic system here. And then we'll drop the legs, allowing the heels to be wide, allowing the toes to fall apart, holding the arms a little bit away from the hips. And let's together take a deep inhale and exhale through the mouth. And from here you will practice your Shavasana, allowing yourself a moment of stillness. Definitely sensations should be arising on their lower part of the body as we manipulated with hips and ankles a lot today. We were working on stability, mobility, flexibility of their lower limbs. So right now all tissues returning back to normal direction and length, but also the blood circulation from all the work increased to those areas. And you definitely can admit that the building of the tissues started right now. And then add the movements and toes and fingers, circles and wrists and ankles. And when you're ready, you will bend your knees and come into seated position. And as we come to the seated position, we'll come into the cross-legged and just maybe play a little bit with the position of the ankles to find your knees coming lower toward the floor with the arms behind, lengthen through the spine, and then bring the hands in front of the heart. Take a moment here to admit the end of the practice. Thank yourself for being able to be on the mat today. And hopefully this practice will help you to release unnecessary tension in the body and mind. And from here to continue with a positive vibe through the rest of your day. Namaste.